Ronaldinho Gaucho. His enchantment will sing in thy dreams forever. A genius who made a football pitch his stage of pure entertainment.
For many of us in our 20s and even our 30s, we grew up mesmerized by players like JJ Okocha, R9, Kaká, Zidane, and Robinho. As we moved into our teens and early adult years, it was Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, and Hazard who gave us unforgettable moments that shaped our view on how the game should be played. And this is why now in 2025, a lot of us feel like the game is dying. The robotic style of play, the soft fouls, and the lack of flair makes it hard to appreciate the game like we used to. The magic just feels gone. However, with the rise of Lamine Yamal and Désiré Doué, it feels like for the first time in a long time, football is exciting. Almost like we're falling in love with the game all over again. But here's a question for you. When exactly did you fall in love with the game for the first time? For me, it was 2002 when Brazil lifted the World Cup, and there was this guy wearing number 11 who made me go, wow. In 2002, Ronaldinho was just 22 years old, taking on some of the best defenders the game has ever seen. And the way he stood out on the world's biggest stage was simply breathtaking. Seeing this performance, Barcelona came in with an offer and signed the Brazilian in 2003. He quickly became one of the best the world had ever seen. And in pure skills and talent with the ball, he's arguably the best to ever grace the pitch. And this is a chapter of his life that is pretty well known throughout the world of football. But what isn't well known is the chapter of his life before that. A story filled with drug dealers, gangsters, and outright murderers within the favelas of Brazil. These traumatic events shaped Ronaldinho into the player we know. And I'm sure you're curious to know what exactly happened to him. So join me for the next 9 minutes as I tell you the real story. The story of the kid who grew up in the favelas and became the player who made us fall in love with football. Before the world even knew his name, and before his smiles began to lit up stadiums, there was only the outskirts of Porto Alegre, where gunshots echoed louder than cheers, and kids learned to dribble between drug deals and danger just to survive. Ronaldinho's father worked 2 jobs, shipyard worker by day and stadium security by night. His mother was a nurse. She patched up wounds at work, and at home she patched up her kids' broken hearts. When Ronaldinho was just 8 years old, everything changed. His brother Roberto was a rising star, and with his first professional contract at Grêmio, he earned the family a new home. It had a pool, bright walls, and clean floors. They had finally left the cracked tiles and broken dreams behind. And for a moment, everything was perfect. But more importantly, the family was now happy. One day, 8-year-old Ronaldinho strolled by the pool, only to find his father, his hero, lifeless in the water. A heart attack stole the man who taught him football, who taught him everything. Just when life had started to feel safe, it was ripped away. Lost in sadness as a kid, he was barefoot on broken concrete, juggling a dream. In 1994, when Ronaldinho was 14, a terrifying incident rocked his hometown of Porto Alegre. Just a few miles from where he trained daily, a violent criminal named Diloné Malara escaped prison and stormed the Plaza São Rafael, the city's most luxurious hotel. With 27 hostages held at gunpoint, the crisis became national news. 5 people were killed and 1 hostage was left paralyzed. Porto Alegre wasn't just a place of samba and football. It was a place where life could be snatched away without warning, and Ronaldinho wasn't safe. There were gangs like Os Manos who were ruthless killers, and they also recruited children to be drug runners and couriers, which means Ronaldinho could have been recruited as a teen. But as Os Manos tightened their grip on the city's favelas, Ronaldinho tightened his control on the ball. He trained like his life depended on it, because maybe in a way, it did. The football pitch became a sanctuary from the violence, a place where no bullets flew, only dreams did. His dedication began to pay off, because at just 17 he was already being called a phenomenon. In 1997, Ronaldinho boarded a plane to Egypt carrying nothing but a pair of boots, a smile, and a gift the world hadn't yet seen. He was selected to be a part of the U17 World Cup team, and he famously led Brazil to the championship title, scoring in the finals and stood out so much that when he returned to Grêmio, they instantly bumped him up to the first team, and he made his debut at 18. In his debut season, Ronaldinho scored 23 goals, not just tap-ins. These were samba goals. He utterly destroyed Internacional in the Grenal Derby, a performance that made headlines across Brazil. O novo fenômeno do futebol. The new phenomenon of football screamed the entire São Paulo. He will be better than Ronaldo. With those words, the entire hopes of the nation rested on the 18-year-old's shoulders. Ronaldo was the current best, but Brazil had hopes that Ronaldinho would be the next big thing. Grêmio didn't win the league that year, but they gave the world a gift. A boy wonder who would change the game forever. After that breathtaking debut, Brazil wasn't just watching Ronaldinho, they were demanding him. In 1999, there was going to be 3 big international tournaments: the Copa America, the Confederations Cup, and the Under-20 World Cup. And the headlines all read, "Call the kid." And first stop, the Under-20 World Cup in Nigeria. Ronaldinho lit up the group stage. He wasn't just playing, he was performing. 3 goals, countless nutmegs, and defenders left spinning like carnival dancers. Brazil didn't win the trophy, but a message was clear. The boy was too big for youth tournaments, and so the kid was called up to the big stage for the first time in the Copa America. On his debut against Venezuela, Ronaldinho delivered an iconic goal to announce himself to the world, and the crowd loved it. For the rest of the tournament, he was either being subbed on late or on the bench. And to be fair, the Brazil team was stacked with talent. But the crowd still pleaded and demanded to see more of him, and so he was called up again in the Confederations Cup, and this time he would have no restraints. With the shackles off, Ronaldinho flew like a butterfly and stung like a bee. 6 goals in 5 games, including a hat-trick against Saudi Arabia in the semifinals. At 19, he was named the best player of the tournament. It wasn't just hype anymore. It was a prophecy coming through before our very eyes. In 2000, a set of incidents occurred that could have derailed Ronaldinho's career. And I mean literally. It even led to a large portion of the Brazilian population being angry with him. Here's what happened. The first incident was his evasion of military service. All Brazilian males are required to enlist for compulsory military service at 18. But instead of reporting for enlistment, he used his status as a professional footballer to claim an exemption. The media criticized him heavily, painting it as him trying to avoid responsibilities that ordinary Brazilians couldn't, because while most young Brazilians were picking up rifles and uniforms, Ronaldinho evaded his responsibility, and it gets worse. Photos and reports of him partying all night, showing up late to training, and hanging out in clubs began surfacing, which added even more fuel to the fire. He evaded military service because he was a celebrity, and now he's out partying, turning up late for training, and behaving unprofessionally. Doing all this while the other youths suffer with guns. Yeah, he was quickly losing his support from the population. And the second incident made even his own club teammates and supporters hate him. In 2001, Ronaldinho was still under contract with Grêmio, but he left in 2001 and signed with PSG on a free transfer. Grêmio claimed the move was illegal and filed a lawsuit with FIFA, saying he broke contract terms. FIFA eventually ruled in PSG's favor, but the situation damaged Ronaldinho's image in Brazil, because many Grêmio fans saw it as betrayal, and now he was public enemy number 1. On the other hand, French fans were excited to see the Brazilian. He had the flair, the speed, and was one of, if not the most promising youth player in the world. He quickly began to establish himself in France, with many calling him the most skillful player in the league, rivaling teammate JJ Okocha. This was good publicity, but Ronaldinho's old habits quickly began to divide the club. He was very inconsistent, only managing 9 goals in his first season, and he quickly fell out with the coach because he was constantly late for training due to him always partying. In no time, the French media turned against him, and the manager dropped him from the squad. And if not for Scolari's faith, Ronaldinho might never have made it into Brazil's World Cup squad, because even his own people didn't want him to play due to the reasons I gave earlier. Ronaldinho, however, didn't falter. He got carried away for sure, but he was able to look into himself and see that he needed to change. He believed in his own talent, and he swore he'd make everyone believe in him too. The World Cup not only showcased his flair, but it also showed how disciplined, determined, and adaptable Ronaldinho was in the biggest tournament in the world. The first trial came in the first match. He was quiet and not too impactful in attack, and he would be subbed out because of it, because like I said, Brazil had stars everywhere. The second match showcased his determination to keep his starting spot. He came into this one with every trick in his arsenal. Scoring, assisting, and his skills were filthy, just pure class. The third match, he was rested alongside Rivaldo as Brazil rotated the squad, but in the round of 16 came Belgium. He didn't score in this match, but he was the creative spark in the middle of the pitch, unsettling Belgium's midfield and created opportunities to score, and this showcased his adaptability. In the quarterfinals against England, Brazil fell behind pretty early, and with the all-star team England possessed in 2002, the world was in total shock when Ronaldinho single-handedly destroyed their world-class defense to set up Rivaldo. He was ruthless, and minutes later he scored one of the wildest free kicks you'll ever see. He was sent off in the 57th minute, but he had already done enough to send his team to the semis. In the semifinals, it was evident that Brazil missed his creativity, having struggled to beat Turkey. He would return for the finals on June 30th straight into the starting lineup and played his part as Brazil lifted their 5th World Cup. In a year, Barcelona came calling, and we witnessed possibly the greatest entertainer the game had ever seen. He influenced an entire generation, with even Real Madrid granting him a standing ovation.
It is very, very, very rare that you see Real Madrid fans applaud an opposition player. It never happens that you see Real Madrid fans applaud a Barcelona player.
He was loved by everyone because he showed all of us how football should be played.